Good afternoon, everybody. It's Greg. So, my commentary this morning pre market couldn't have been more spot on as to the expectations for today. Kind of a range bound, go nowhere kind of a day. And it's exactly what we got. I mean, the trend is up in multiple time frames, daily, weekly, monthly, for the S&P 500. I talked about different markets or stocks coming back to areas of minor support, rising 20 MA, and they were in areas where they would stabilize. However, multiple time frames were out of alignment, and that historically leads to some other backing and filling, and that's what's happening. And you know what? While it's boring and kind of, nothing's really happening here for the most part, and tends to be erratic or just whipsaw because there's so much indecision until the turn actually begins. And so at this point, we're assuming the turn is beginning, but we don't have that clear confirmation yet. So the S&P 500 in an uptrend, rising 20 MA, close to minus support. The 65-minute broke down, which it always does as it begins a pullback, especially from a rounding top. There's the pivots in the rounding top. And so it breaks down and turns the trend down on the 65-minute. Okay, fine. Now, what we're looking for, and why I explained pre-market, ideally we'd have like 2 or even better 3 days of chop, which may result in what we'll see on Friday. And what that does is build a base on the 65-minute or 60-minute, whatever you're looking at. And that sideways correction on this intraday longer time frame moves prices away from this congestion area. So as prices correct through price down and through time sideways, moving prices away from that initial resistance area, that basing action begins to build a greater confidence that this breakdown on the 65-minute isn't heading lower down to here, to the 50. But we don't know. It may be heading down there. And that is what we referred to as a measured move on this time frame. By definition, it sets up as a buy on the higher time frame. Sometimes it triggers by trading above a prior day's high, sometimes not, but then it fails and it trades under the turn day, and you get a measured move, 1, 2, down to the next support level, which would be down here at this major support in the 50 MA. This is what you're going to want to be looking for into this afternoon and ultimately tomorrow. Now, if we were to get another inside day tomorrow, another boring kind of a day, that triggering up or down is likely to happen sometime on Monday. Oh, we'll be waiting to see what's going to happen there. The 5-minute you can see is just range bound. Now, if it goes sideways here, it's only, it's not almost 2 o'clock. Got around another 4 or 5 minutes to go till 2 o'clock. Maybe by 2:30 or so, it breaks out and goes higher and turns this green. So as you can see through my commentary, it's indecisive. And if the markets are indecisive, I'm indecisive, which means sit on my hands and do nothing. I say that as if it's an easy thing to do. It is when you know what to look for, and that's what I'm explaining to you. So when we look at another market, the Qs, we see some relative strength. You see, it's a little poked above the open here, that blue line, but it's going nowhere. Maybe it'll be able to go higher. This didn't break down as far as the S&Ps did, and this got a little bit more room kind of to pop there. If this can get going, I'm waiting to see. IWM, similar kind of a pattern. Do you understand by now? SMHs, similar kind of a pattern. Actually maybe a little bit better that it broke down here and came all the way back up to the resistance and kind of a hook. Maybe it can get going. Ultimately, you would have to clear these highs, get out of this range. So ideally, it would be best tomorrow. KRE regionals. That's kind of looked like maybe it could go higher, and now it's dipped back down again. Bottoming tail bar in the making, or could be a red bar at the end of the day. Like I said, it's almost 2 o'clock. We need to wait and see what steps up here. The Dow, look, it's down here, getting closer to major support. So it's showing relative weakness, but this is likely to be the first one to turn if it can begin to stabilize over the next day or two. So the more we look at here, the more, it's kind of saying keep the powder dry, wait for some kind of substantial turn. Don't get chopped up. The transports are pulling back to support, down bar here. So we're waiting. What's doing well today? Well, consumer discretionary. And the reason why is Tesla gapped up significantly and went higher. So that's a great start. And I'm just going to flip this to a weekly chart, take a bigger time frame view, and it's up at the top of this significant resistance area. Now, if this can go sideways here for, I don't know, I'd like to see it go sideways for a week or so if possible. That might open up the door to a humongous move higher. So keep the powder dry, pool, nothing great here. It's okay. I mean, it gapped up like that, a little sideways. It's got room to go up. This real estate is up. So consumer discretionary is the only one that's up significantly, and that was a gap. Home builders is coming down to major support and the 50 MA, and that may make a turn here. Reason being, interest rates are starting to pull back a little from this resistance area. There's that inverse relationship or intermarket analysis here. So the movement up put a damper on the home builders. And now if this continues to pull back, home builders at major support, these should make a turn. Now, on an initial turn, and this came down in a pretty steep manner, if we were to get a big green bar possibly negating that, we'd probably start with put spreads, with Lennar, and we can take a look at those. If it sets up, utilities are doing nothing. Other than that, on my another list here, what's doing well? Well, home construction, right? So interest rates down, but this is broken down. So we just got a lot of patterns here that are in question. Something like software that's pulling back, again, that minus support, making a turn. It's backed off here today. We're kind of in a wait and see mode. Trading sometimes is that way. That's where the patience and discipline come in. So be patient, be disciplined, wait. Our pitch will come. As always, if you have questions, email us, Greg and Dan at Master Trader.